Visit ShaviZanesGuidance.com if you want to purchase any of the products that I have created. I have 6 different decks for you to choose from: Ancestors Money, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, and Madam C.J. Walker. I also have the Spiritual Cleanse, where you can cleanse your energy every time you take a shower. It consists of frankincense, myrrh, Palo Santos, and sage. You can also order my miniature altars. You can get my book full of channeled messages, and order your Straight Outta Religion hats and t-shirts. You can also get a 15-minute, 30-minute, or 1-hour session over the phone with me, where you can ask as many questions as you'd like. So definitely check out the description box as well as the comment section to book your services and to purchase your products. Hey, what's going on, Chosen? So this is Shavi Zane, and I'm coming on to speak with you all in regards to how your testimony is meant to sound unbelievable. Your testimony is meant to sound unbelievable. And because your testimony is meant to sound unbelievable, that means your circumstances are meant to feel impossible. I'm going to say that one more time. Because your testimony is meant to sound unbelievable, your circumstances are meant to feel impossible. Impossible to overcome. Impossible to navigate. Impossible to maneuver. They are supposed to feel impossible. Many of you have gone through very trying times. Some of you are still experiencing these things where the average person would say, oh, there's no hope. This is a lost cause. Yeah, you already tried that door. You tried that door. There's really no other options. There's no other way to navigate, right? The average being that does not have a connection to the source, the Most High Mother and Father, the average being that does not understand spirituality, the average being who has a closed off, blocked off third eye chakra will tell you, based on the tangible evidence, based on your circumstances, there's nothing you can do. This is where the Most High Mother and Father uses you as a vessel to show up and show out. Because we are in the age of Aquarius. And in this age, this is the age of I know. We've already exited Pisces, the age of I believe. We are now entering and should be fully embodying the age of I know. And the only way to get to that space of knowing is to experience what seems to be impossible and unbelievable. We're not here to make people believers anymore. We are here to make people knowers through our own knowing. And so you may be facing a circumstance that it seems impossible to navigate when you're looking at it through your natural eyes. You might say, I called everybody I could call. I knocked on every door that I can knock on. I've looked into every resource that I could possibly investigate. I've done X, Y, Z. I have depleted my account here. I have used up all of my resources there. You may feel completely depleted in the natural realm, but that's when the Most High Mother and Father says, all right, I need you to recognize that the blockage, the closed doors, are not the ones that you see with your natural eyes. This is a spiritual blockage, and I'm gifting you the authority, the know-how, the alchemy, the power, the strength, the faith to shift that circumstance and to move those mountains spiritually. Because by the time you get done doing that spiritual work and working with your spiritual team, what's going to happen is things are going to begin to shift in the natural realms, in the natural realm, in ways that you cannot even explain. It's going to be so unbelievable that you'll no longer be in that space of believing. You're going to be in that space of just knowing. I know that I'm taken care of. I know that I'm secure. I know that this is going to work out for my highest good. I know that this is happening because it's opening up a doorway for me. I know these changes are happening outside of me because of the changes that have happened within me. Everything will become I know, I know, I know. You will no longer be in a place of I believe. Because to believe is to leave room for doubt. To believe is to leave room for other people to insert their own fears or their own projections or their own thoughts into your circumstance. But when you're from that space of I know, you are now steering the ship. You are now operating as the co-creator of your life. And no one will be able to come in and tell you that there's any situation where you cannot shift the outcome to work out for your highest good. This is the space that humanity has to come into in order for the powers that were to completely lose their positions. Because when there's room for the I believe frequency, there's room for control. There's room for corruption. There's room for falsehoods. There's room for illusions. But on the I know frequency, no one can tell you different. No one can deter you. No one can come in and play the trickster and pull you back into the matrix. No one can create future generations of zombies that walk around in the I believe based on somebody else's belief system. Your testimony is meant to be unbelievable, and your circumstances are meant to feel impossible. I have had so many different scenarios of circumstances that seemed impossible. I told you all about this before, but I will never stop bringing my testimony forward. When I sat in that hotel room with my children for 2 years, I'll tell you the first time that we got dropped off at the hotel room, it was a very janky hotel room. When I tell you it was janky, prostitution, crackheads, you name it, it was there. But I remember on the way driving there thinking, this is the next level up. Because I was leaving off of the couch of a family member's house where me and myself and all of my children, 5 of my little tiny babies, 4 of them in diapers, mind you, were sleeping on one couch, my love seat that I had brought from my old apartment, traveled from one state to the next. We slept on my recliner love seat, right? And I remember as we drove to this hotel, I just started crying, but it felt so liberating. Some of it was a little bit of sadness and uncertainty, but most of it was liberation. Most of it was, this is the breakthrough. This is the new doorway that's opening. And even though it felt uncertain, I felt so free to just be able to free fall into that next level without knowing the outcome. I felt liberated knowing that this is the breakthrough. This is the next level. And it really was, y'all. Because in that room is when I pulled out my phone, I sat it up against the wall, and I started recording. I started on Facebook doing my readings, and I said, I'm going to break out of this fear of allowing the world to see who I am. I know who I am. And now it's time for other people to know who I am. I'm no longer uncertain about my path. And so I'm not operating from the space of I believe I'm this, or I think I believe in that, or I think I believe I know this. No, it was I know who I am. You're going to know who I am. And if you have a problem with it, then that's your bad. In that room is when the seed was planted. In that room was when I began to align with my nature. And even though my circumstances, when I tell you from the outside looking in, Everybody, all of those karmic family members, only a couple of them, had decent hearts. I might even just say one. But all of those karmics that was surrounding me was looking at my situation like, oh yeah, she ain't gonna be able to navigate out of this one. We're talking about smack dab in the middle of COVID. Literally had just begun like maybe a few months prior. Everything was shut down. I could not go and get my nurse's license transferred out to the state that I was in from the state that I had come from. I had no ID on me. All of the government buildings were shut down. There was no way for me to get a job in the field that I had gone to school for, studied hard, went and did the state exam, did all of these things and had zero access to work as a registered nurse at that time. And so the only thing that I could go by was that I know type of energy. I know ain't no way that I've done all of this spiritual work, because at that point, I had already been on the spiritual pathway for at least, I woke up at 33. I had, 2020 was when COVID began. Trying to think of years, y'all, because, oh, goodness, let me see something. So I had already been on a path for at least about 2.5 years, okay? At least about 2.5 years, all right? And at that point, I understood that my thoughts create things. So I got to be very, very, very careful of what I think. Okay, I had already been through several circumstances where I saw miracles unfold in my life prior to ending up in that hotel room. So I knew for a fact that I had to keep my thoughts in alignment with what I wanted to create. And so even though it seemed like my situation was spiraling downward through the people's natural eyes, looking at tangible evidence, looking at my security, looking at my finances, looking at my living circumstances, if you only focused on what you saw in the natural 3D realm, most people would say I had hit rock bottom and there would be no coming back from that. The only thing left was for me to turn into a crackhead and start selling my ass. That would be the process, the mindset of many of the karmics, especially those who was wishing me failure, who was hoping that I would never be able to rise out of that situation. That's what they was hoping for, right? But because I was looking at it through my spiritual eyes, which was very wide open, mind you, I was like, this is victory. This is proof that things are getting ready to shift in ways that I don't even see coming. This is proof that doors are opening up for me. This is proof that I'm aligning with my purpose. I was feeling very excited about all of the towers that was happening in my life. And many people around me did not understand why I was so optimistic. Why was I still able to smile? Why was I still able to laugh? Why was I still out in nature, literally running around in the rain, giving thanks to the Most High? Okay, crying tears of joy every time I found blue feathers. Okay, like literally just basking in this energy of just pure joy in what seemed to be the lowest point of my life. And it's largely because I came to realize that when you know, you just know. When you feel, you just feel. And one thing that you will not be short of in the midst of those moments that seem impossible is this overwhelming feeling of joy and comfort from your spiritual team. They are going to like literally drown you in their love. You are going to have a floodgate of synchronicities that's going to show up in your life where it is undeniable that something is unfolding in your life that goes beyond what the natural eyes or the carnal minded man would ever be able to understand. So you will get all of the synchronicities. When I tell you, prior to this situation happening with me leaving Illinois to go out to Washington, D.C., prior to me leaving and all of this stuff happening with me financially, I would get up every single night And it didn't matter what time of the night it was. I walked into my kitchen. The microwave had, of course, the timer, the digital clock on there. And I promise you, I will bust out laughing. It would be 222, 1111, 1010. I mean, when I tell you 555, 333, and it was just like, I've never experienced such palpable energy in the spiritual realm to the point where I felt it. I felt my spiritual team. They was already preparing me like, girl, you don't even know what's getting ready to go down, but we are showing you that we are here. And that regardless of what you're getting ready to experience, this is not the end. This is the beginning. The only ending that's getting ready to happen right now is the end of who you used to be. It's the end of how you used to live. It's the end of how you used to think. It's the end of how you used to believe, because we are getting ready to send you down a path that by the time you come out on the other side of that thing, the only thing that you will be able to say is, I know. And you will say it with conviction, and no one will be able to come in and beat you into submission or put you back to sleep ever again in your life. And when I tell you that during that 2 years of me being in that room and not having any tangible way of making income, the Most High, Mother and Father showed out. When I tell you they showed out. So much so that by the time I left that hotel room, I actually had more money in my account than what I had ever been able to save while I was working as a registered nurse. And it even exceeded tax season money, y'all. I mean, I'm trying to tell you, y'all know what it is out there. When you have children and you go and get the tax, it exceeded tax season money. When I tell you that I came out on the other side of that thing knowing, and that's why in my truth today, when I speak to people and I hear different circumstances that people are in, it's like, yeah, it's all too familiar. And I can tell that person with conviction, I know that this is your breakthrough right here. And it's going to require for you to know that this is your breakthrough right here. It's going to require for you to know that you are well supported, you are well taken care of, and everything that you need is going to come to you in ways that it's going to be hard to explain, but it's going to be less about the hows and it's going to be more about the wows. You're going to have to be less about the hows, because on the other side of that, it's going to be more about the wows, because the Most High Mother and Father and your spiritual team is going to wow you so many times. I can't tell y'all how many times I had a wow energy where it's like, how did this happen? How did this happen? I've told you all about the circumstance when one day, I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and sign up for some food stamps and see if I could qualify for the cash benefits, right? And so, of course, all of the government buildings were shut down, so I couldn't go and apply in person. So I'm online and I'm filling out the application. I was able to fill out the application for the food stamps. Bam, that went through, no problem. It got submitted. So I get to the portion of filling out the application for the cash benefits, and it kept kicking me out. And it did it like 10 times, y'all. Because, see, I'm the type of person, I'm going to keep pushing. I'm an Aries, and I'm like, look, I'm going to keep doing this because ain't no damn way I'm putting this information in properly. Why does it keep booting me out of the system? So, of course, I was relentless in trying to get it done until finally I gave up. And I was like, you know what? To hell with this. It booted me out for the last time, and I was not able to complete the application for cash benefits. So I said, okay, well, I was able to complete for food stamps. So I ended up getting a food stamp card. And of course, the food stamp card is the card that would also be used for people who also have the cash benefits. So you get both on one card. But of course, I wasn't expecting no cash benefits because I'm like, well, shoot, I didn't even fill out the application. They didn't let me do it, whatever. So a couple of months passed. And I'm going to the grocery store to get some groceries for my children because by this time we had left the really janky hotel room and we had upgraded to an extended stay. That was like heaven to me, y'all, because in this extended stay, we had a full size refrigerator and we had a little like heating stove top thing where we could heat up food. And that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to cook a full meal for my babies and to be able to stock a refrigerator. Because, of course, in the janky hotels, you got that little tiny miniature refrigerator and one microwave. I was tired of eating out the microwave. I was tired of eating, tuna fish sandwiches and, things that I could put inside this little refrigerator, going to 7-Eleven, getting a pizza from I was tired of that. So when we upgraded to the extended stay, to me, that was like heaven on earth. And so I was in more gratitude. I was even fuller, right? So we go to the grocery store. I'm doing my grocery shopping. And I knew I probably had like maybe maybe $700 left of food stamps. But of course, I was anticipating that, okay, next month it'll get replenished or whatnot. So I get to the register and she gives me my receipt and I'm, looking, expecting to see the 600 some odd dollars left. I looked at my receipt and my receipt read that I had over $9,000 in food stamps and over $10,000 in cash benefits. Remember, y'all, I was not able to apply for the cash benefits. So where the hell did this come from? So you already know how many wows begin to come from my mouth. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you, Mother and Father. That's all I could do was give thanks. And it literally just expanded my faith and reminded me, girl, we got you. Do you have any idea what this is getting ready to take you to? Do you have any idea what we are, the pathways, the doors that we are opening up for you and your babies? Do you even know? Do you even know? And that moment right there was a pivotal moment for me, because if I had any doubt prior to that, which I didn't have much doubt, right? But if I had even a slightest bit of doubt prior to that situation, doubt was fully erased from me. At that point, I knew that there would never be a day that myself and my children would go hungry. There would never be a day that we would not have a place to lay our head where we felt safe. There would never be a day that we would not be secure. And this is why, and I got so many other scenarios that I could tell y'all, but of course I'm not going to take up your time. But this is why I speak with conviction today. This is why I remain on my path today, because nobody would have said, this was only back in 2020. Here it is, 2025. Nobody would have looked at my circumstances when all of that began and said, within 5 years, you'll be in your dream home with your babies. You will be living a very comfortable lifestyle. You will never look back to using that nurse's license again. Nobody from the outside looking in would be able to say that. And so this is where I can say with full conviction that your circumstances are meant to feel impossible, because you, as the chosen seed, you are meant to bring forth testimonies that let people know. You're going to know, okay, that this is the type of experience. You got to go through this in order to know. People that are believers out here that stand strongly in these beliefs that have been taught to them by these false systems and other people who are, putting these fear tactics out there in order to maintain power and control over humanity. These beings that are in that believing state are going to have to go through some very hard times in order to get to that position of knowing. And it's not to punish them, but it's to transform them. It's to put to rest that old version of themselves that could be easily convinced through somebody else's belief system. We are no longer meant to be controlled by the powers that were. And so just as it took extreme measures to put us to sleep, it will take extreme measures to wake us up. But not just to wake us up to where we could be placed back into sleep or put back underneath their spell. No, to wake us up in a way where we know with conviction. This is truth. This is law. Law stands. Universal law stands. The law of cause and effect. What I put out there is what I receive back. What I believe is what it is. I am the co-creator of my life. I possess the power. I possess the strength to shift and to alchemize and to transmute my circumstances. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter how it seems impossible, because I know with conviction that what I see with my spiritual eyes is totally opposite of what others see with their natural eyes. And all I have to do is stay focused on that vision that I see with my spiritual eyes in order for things to align for me here in the natural realm. You can 100% guarantee that you will see the physical manifestation of that which you have become and created through your thoughts and through your knowing. So I'm going to end it right here, y'all. But for those of you who are in those circumstances that seem impossible to overcome, you are very gifted. You are very favored. The Most High favors you. Your spiritual team favors you because they're trying to show you something. And what they're getting ready to show you is getting ready to lay the foundation. That wisdom that you obtain through your current circumstance is going to lay the foundation for generations to come. So that's my message for you all. I'm going to get off of here before I get emotional. But I hope that this encourages you to keep going. I love you all, and I'll talk to y'all next time.